Good morning. This is the Truth Seeker 333. And today I'd like to talk about depression and autistic spectrum. I read an article, talked a little bit about it, and how those people who are on the autistic spectrum, because they do not have the ability to express their emotions in the same manner that most of society does, a lot of times they come across as having a very flat, one-dimensional personality, like non-responsive, stoical facial expressions, for the most part. Some individuals obviously have learned to cope with this a little better. They have learned certain facial cues, but some are a little more severely prone to not be able to show emotional response in the face. And because of this, many people start to assume that those people are depressed. Because depression has a lot of the same symptoms as what we are calling autistic spectrum. And then that brings up a question. Is depression a form of autism? In normal individuals. In other words, do people go through periods in their life when they're depressed that they're actually just falling into a state of autistic processing, and therefore it's called depression. So that would mean that most autistic individuals would be depressed most of their lives, or this is just an idea I had, but I can say that honestly, most of my life I'm very sanguine. Okay, I'm not always bubbly and effervescent, and those are not my character traits. But I wouldn't say that I'm depressed severely, but I do suffer from depression on a consistent basis, but I wouldn't say it cripples me from going to work, getting the things done I need to get done. Obviously, does it affect me? Yes. Does it affect me to being the full potential that I can be? Yes. But I wouldn't say I'm severely in a state of depression. I would say right now I'm generally content. I may be suffering right now from some anxiety. that's all like in the background, regarding having a new job and getting some things straightened out with some finances at the house and such. And so, I think we all suffer from these things daily. So it's just a constant giving those things over, to the Lord. At any rate, so they found that depression a lot of times is associated with autistic spectrum. But in my own personal experience, I think a lot of people that are on the autistic spectrum are accused of being depressed when they're not. Or, like maybe they're not like really as depressed as people think they are, maybe that's the case. Like you go through all these things and it's like counseling, herbs and diet and maybe some people have taken certain medications to try to deal with what they believe is depression, but in reality might just be autistic spectrum. So I myself, I shy away from any kind of mood altering medications. I have, taken herbs like Herpesina serrata, Chinese club moss, or Hupazine A. Tends to help for me, at certain times, like maybe 2 weeks at a time, it'll help me. But I do want to study this subject a little bit more to try to understand, to me, I think that I think people that are on the autistic spectrum suffer more frustration than depression. But then the frustration kind of gives over to depression. Like just a general frustration with not being able to function at a speed that everybody else wants us to function at, and communicate our ideas as quickly as everyone would like us to communicate. Not to say that we don't have periods of highly focused abilities, because that is another trait of autistic spectrum. And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about, was the flip side of that, what people would not really associate with somebody who what they would consider maybe not a high functioning individual, but the ability for those on the autistic spectrum to become highly focused on something and to study it and to analyze it. This is why I believe that throughout the period of human history, that those individuals who were chosen to be the architects, the engineers, the accountants, all these individuals, I believe, are more prone to the autistic spectrum. And I would say most of them, are prone to the autistic spectrum, which allows them to to perform these activities. Getting on the freeway here, so I'm kind of focused. So today I'm kind of off my routine because the system went down at work and yesterday, and so we went home early, and our boss asked us to come in early the next day to get things processed in time. So the traffic behavior on the road an hour earlier is a lot more it's a lot faster. It's not as congested. Already I'm getting people blinking their lights at me, and I'm trying to make my way over to the carpool lane because I drive an electric car, and that allows me to drive in the carpool lane. And so yeah, everybody's zipping along this morning, and I'm not used to this traffic pattern. So that's a little distracting for me because I want things to be the same every day or similar to what I'm used to. So anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, those people that are more prone to the autistic spectrum are likely going to be the engineers, the architects, the accountants, and because they have that ability to highly focus in and really analyze things, and so an autistic individual, while they may not be able to communicate quickly on the fly, you know, spontaneously regarding a new topic that they're unfamiliar with, may, on the other hand, be able to really get into deep discussions and quick communication regarding something they have studied for a prolonged period of time, which is why it's hard for those on the autistic spectrum to socialize in a party environment, to engage in small talk and interact in those settings. A lot of times I'll start to bring up things that I've been studying because I know those are things that I can talk about, and I can, you know, if other people are interested. But otherwise, I end up being the observer and the quiet little mouse in the corner, you know, and you know, like even you know, in college and in high school, I was very good at the debate team, speech and debate. But that was because I could sit down and like study for, you know, prolonged periods of time regarding certain subject material, have my answers in preparation, have the knowledge at my fingertips, and basically just spout it out, you know, from memory. And so I was a very good debater, you know, and that was because I considered so many of the possibilities and so many of the variations. And so that's like the flip side of being on the autistic spectrum. regarding communication. Now, so it's like you're either hyper focused because you've been able to take the time to study and analyze a topic, or you're at a party in a spontaneous situation and you're just fumbling over yourself and you don't know what to say. But of course you kind of get better at these things over the years. Some people have the propensity to blend in, like I said, blend into society a little bit more than others, and like getting back to the whole depression thing. I find that people who don't know you, they don't know your personality type, they're gonna assume, like right off the bat, that maybe you're thinking about them or judging them, or you're depressed, when that's not the case. So anyway, because today's traffic is a little more hectic, I'm going to end this video because I want to drive safely. And God bless you all. Keep seeking truth. And I'll see you in my next video. All right, bye.